Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Wrestling with My Appetite, the show where I talk about the fun world of professional wrestling, all while trying some of the tastiest items from around the globe. And on episode 6, we've got a very special one. It is from another local favorite. It's the Zuke's special from Zuke's Corner Store, and it's a little deli in Plattsburgh, New York, and very, very good. They're known mostly for their bread. Their bread is some of the best bread. I'm not even like a huge bread person, and I know a lot of people are, but like, I'm not a huge bread person. I love Zuke's bread. It's amazing. Now, Zuke's special, what it is, it's a hot sub. It's got turkey, ham, Swiss cheese, coleslaw, which I'm not usually a big fan of, but it's good on the sandwich, Russian dressing, pickles, and I might have asked for more stuff on it. I think I asked for banana peppers on it. But that's not usually what comes on it. That doesn't usually come on it, basically. Anyway, and also in the wrestling part of this show, of this episode, I'm going to be talking about, it's going to be part 2 of my wrestling journey, the series, and this time it's going to be about the stable called the New Wave. Now, the New Wave was a stable that I was in when I first joined Performance Arts Connection Wrestling. It was a stable of mostly new guys with a couple of older veteran guys. Great promise. It did not end up working out in the end, and we'll discuss why a little as we tell the story. But we'll start off with the Zook special. We only had one of these one time. We did a team dinner of Zooks for football, and yeah, wow. There we go. Swiss cheese is melted like crazy. There we go. Try to pull that apart. There it is. All right. There we go. Not the most visually appealing, but I'm telling you guys, the flavor is there. The bread is so good. Honestly, the bread is delicious. It's nice and soft, but it's got that crispy outside that you kind of want, nice and toasted. Great flavor on the ham and the turkey. I love Russian dressing on any type of sandwich, so glad it's on there. And then the Swiss cheese. Come on, melted cheese on anything. Come on. Amazing. Amazing flavor. Yeah. Great stuff, honestly. Great stuff. Anyway, so let's start with the New Wave. I'm excited about this. So, when I first debuted, going back to last episode, when I first debuted in PAC, the first thing I did was I went in, it was an invading company. It was basically us new guys being me, Dominic Marino, and Jacob Cass, or Jake Steele, or there's a few other names he's known by. He doesn't wrestle anymore, but Dominic Marino is still semi-active. Basically, we were invading, like the whole, we're going to take over a PAC thing. That was the story, basically. And so also at that time, Jack Vegas, who became the leader of the New Wave, and is one of the top guys in PAC history, very decorated resume, great wrestler, amazing talker. Very, very detestable heel. Like, very good at just making people hate him, and he's one of the best at it. But he was PAC champion, the world champion, and he lost at the show where I debuted. He lost the title in the main event of that show in a ladder match to Justin Destructible. Now, the other member of the New Wave is one of the biggest stars in I think New York independent wrestling today, arguably. That would be Nick Cruz, aka Johnny Money. he was known as Nick Cruz back then. Now what he was doing is he was the PAC Texas champion, which was kind of one tick down from the world champion as the second biggest title in the company. He had just beaten Bill the Crusher Bigelow to become to retain the PAC Texas champion. He'd held the title for a while. So the idea kind of formed when it was announced that Dominic Marino would be wrestling Scrap Iron at Thanksgiving 3. That was the name of the show. And the stipulation was loser leaves PAC. So Scrap Iron was trying to end Dominic's career before it started. Dominic wanted to come in with PAC with a bang. Me and Jake Cass were not wrestling on the show. We were just kind of there as like invading forces / here to, we shot some things before it, and where we trained, of like me and Supernova, who I hate, were having a brawl. We shot basically PAC attacking the three of us, things like that, to build up to Dominic Marino versus Scrap Iron. Now, what happened when the idea of the New Wave came about was the idea for basically Jack Vegas, in an effort to win his PAC championship back. He wanted to have a stable around him, a stable of guys, especially young guys. Now, Nick Cruz was Jack Vegas' apprentice at the time. So what happened with that was basically we get to the match at Thanksgiving 3. It's semi-main. Jack Vegas is getting his rematch in the main event. Now, earlier in the show, me and Jake Cass attacked the Tiger and Senior Grande, which led to me wrestling the Tiger in my first match. My first one-on-one match, at least. And so the idea happened for Jack Vegas to help Dominic Marino beat and retire Scrap Iron in the main event. Or not the main event, semi-main, but still. So they get to the match, and it was a great match. Now, even though it was his first match, Dominic more than held his own, but the credit really has to go to Scrap Iron for not just getting him through it, but like making it truly great. Like, there was a lot of build to it, so it was always going to be pretty good story-wise, but the match itself is very good. I'll link that in the description. Very good match. You should check it out. The crowd was crazy for it. Because Scrap Iron was like the #1 top good guy in PAC at the time. And so what happened was ref gets knocked out. The ref was Natron, the GM of PAC, as a guest ref. He gets knocked out. Me and Jake Cass run in the ring and start beating up Scrap Iron. So it's like 3-on-1. Jack Vegas runs out for the save because him and Scrap Iron are brothers. And instead of saving him, he ends up turning on him, hitting him with his finisher, and allowing Dominic to get the pin 1, 2, 3. And I remember how insane the crowd was with hatred after that match. Like, insane with it. And it was amazing. It was only the second time I'd been in a ring it was actually maybe the first time I'd been in a ring during a show, because I knew I didn't even step in the ring during the show. The last one, I just super kicked Scrap Iron. But, the crowd was insane. They hated it so much, and it was so good. It was so good. So, Nick Cruz joins in, because, basically, he's with Vegas, therefore, we're all together. And, so after that, we get Vegas versus, we immediately get, after that match, Vegas versus Indestructible in a rematch for the PAC title. And Indestructible wins. And then after the match, we do a big brawl with New Wave versus the rest of PAC, and the rest of PAC just laid out the New Wave. Like, laid us out. And that was going to become a big theme of the New Wave right there, was us getting laid out by the rest of PAC. And so that was it for the first show, and I think that first show ended really well, but I don't know if... So that was the high point of the New Wave. I don't know if it ever got higher than that. I think it kind of went downhill after that, and not all because of booking choices. I think it was just a few different things, and some of it was good. So that was the first show. Then the next show we had was a show for MLS Kids Camp, right? And so it was a 6-man tag match. It was myself in my first official match, Nick Cruz and Jack Vegas against Supernova, the worst man alive, Venom, and Just Indestructible. And we lose. It was a really good match, but we lose. And Nick took the pin from one of the kids because the kid was really excited about the show. We brought the kid in the ring to pin Nick, and I'll link that match too. So we lose that. And then just like a week later, or 2 weeks later, we were supposed to have another show. And a week before it, I got hit in the face with a baseball and broke my nose, my eye socket, my cheek, and my jaw. All at the same time. Not fun. Don't recommend doing it. It hurts. So then I was out. I was going to be out for a little bit, but I still did commentary over shows. That helped with my mic skills, it helped me get more comfortable, and it helped me be established with the crowd. And so the next show was PAC Spring Beatdown. So I was not active as a wrestler, and I was just there with New Wave, and I was on commentary. But not the best show record-wise for the New Wave. So it started off good. In the first match of the show, Jack Vegas beat the worst man alive, Supernova, in a 2 out of 3 falls match to win the PAC Extreme Championship. Good start. Immediately after that, Supernova and Casanova jump Vegas. Nick Cruz comes up for the save. Supernova and Casanova are obviously a team, the Nova brothers. And we get Nick Cruz versus Casanova, and Casanova wins. Okay, sure. Later in that same show, and then after, I should mention, after that, the rest of the New Wave came in and got beat up, except for me. And then after that, the next match on that show was Dominic Marino versus Venom. Venom squashes Dominic Marino senseless. Like, just no offense for Dominic Marino at all, almost. Just beats him senseless. It ends in a DQ because Nick Cruz comes out for the save, and then they all get beat up. And then later in that same show, Scrap Iron returned, which this was really good, actually. This was really good. Vegas comes out, offers an open challenge to anybody in the crowd. Scrap Iron shows up as an old man, which he sold really well as an old man, to fight Vegas. It's Scrap Iron, of course. And Scrap Iron wins the Extreme title from Jack Vegas, so not even a one-night title reign for Jack Vegas. And then after that, the rest of the New Wave gets beat up again. And then the main event was Justin Destructible versus Bill the Crusher Bigelow for the world title. And that ended really quick in a double DQ type thing because the New Wave ran out for, a brawl. And they got beat up. So that was a really, really rough show for the New Wave. Because they just... I can't say we because I wasn't really a part of it. They all got just beat senseless after almost every match on the show. Almost every match. They just beat up. And so that was Spring Beatdown, and that did not go very well for the New Wave at all. This sandwich, however, is going very good for me. Be like Mike, drink Gatorade. Anyway, so the show after that was Warren Doors. I think it might have been Warren Doors 7. I don't remember exactly. But Warren Doors would become big in the New Wave. So the show started with because Justin Destructible was injured and had to vacate the PAC title. And the show started with basically a Royal Rumble match for the PAC title vacated. It was vacated. All the New Wave was in it. Jack Vegas came out number 1 and lasted almost all the way. He ended up getting eliminated by Barracuda. Barracuda becomes the PAC World Champion. And then the next match for New Wave in that show was me versus the Tiger, and I got the win. That was there we, and then that match is on the channel. It was episode 2 of Wrestling with My Appetite. And then in that same show, Nick Cruz won a triple threat match against Dominic Marino and Venom. It was a 3-way because of what had happened in the previous show. Nick Cruz got the win, and then after the match, Dominic, Nick, and me all get beat up by Venom. That was fine because Venom is his whole thing is he's a monster menacing type character, and he's really good at it. And then the main event of that show, Scrap Iron retained over Vegas again for the Extreme title. So, a better show for New Wave than Spring Beatdown, but still not really looking that dominant. More of just, I won, Nick won, but there showed tension between Nick and Dominic because, Dominic thought Nick had stolen the win from him and things like that. And Vegas lost in the main event, and we'd all gotten beaten up. And then the next show was a few months later. It was PAC Firefight, and this is where New Wave comes to an end. Almost a year after our debut, but this is where New Wave comes to an end. Now, it was not to the fault of anybody in particular, but it did not go the greatest. So the show started with Jack Vegas winning back the Extreme title from Scrap Iron because the ref had gotten taken out and Vegas essentially cheated to win. And he wins the Extreme title again. So, again, yeah. Then later in the show, me and Nick Cruz were supposed to fight for the tag team titles against the Nova Brothers. And that didn't happen because Casanova was injured and wasn't there. So, earlier in that show, Dominic Marino won his match against a character called the Dragon. And then after that, Dominic came out and challenged Scrap Iron to a match. To a rematch from the last show. From Thanks Beating. And Jack Vegas came out, and Scrap Iron also came out, and Jack Vegas turned on Dominic Marino, and Scrap Iron joined up with Jack Vegas. Now, the idea was supposed to be, we kick out Dominic and Jake Cass, and it's me, Nick, Vegas, Scrap Iron. But it didn't work like that, because what was supposed to happen was me and Nick come out for the save, and we're supposed to, beat up Dominic and Cass. Didn't happen like that. What happened was, we got in the ring, and Scrap Iron and Jack Vegas beat up me and Nick. Not anybody's fault, it was just a very confusing time. And that basically ended the New Wave right there because it ended up in 3 separate teams. Me and Nick, Dominic and Cass, Vegas and Scrap Iron. Later in that show, me and Nick did win our tag team match. However, it was not for the tag team titles. And then later in the same show, me and Nick essentially turned face by helping Ray Briggs and the Mineville Fire Department spray Jack Vegas and Scrap Iron with hoses. So that basically ended the New Wave. It was a good idea, but flawed in conception, and nobody's fault. It wasn't booking. It was just kind of outside things played in, and I think it was just kind of doomed from the start. Like, we can look back on it and we did some good things. That ended the New Wave right there, but things kept happening after that ended up basically saving it. And that'll be episode 3 of this series. But for right there, that's it for the New Wave. Like I said, just a lot of beatdowns, a lot of losses, some wins, and at the end it just kind of didn't really work out. And that happens sometimes in wrestling. Sometimes even the best ideas just don't work out for whatever reason. And sometimes it's nobody's fault. And I don't really think the New Wave not working out was anybody's fault. I think it just ended up happening that way, and it ended up being good for some of us in the end. And this sandwich is really good for me. I mean, not health-wise, not at all health-wise. It'll probably kill you, but flavor-wise, delicious. So, in terms of things that could have done better with New Wave, I think maybe allowing us to win as a group, not even individually, as a group, I think standing tall would have helped. I don't think that just right off the bat, having that big brawl at the end of Thanks Beating 3 where New Wave New Wave got beat up was the best thing to do. I mean, PAC is a very crowd friendly show, so we're most of the time we like to send the crowd home happy. I get that, and I can't really complain too much because the crowd did like it. It just is like, I don't think the New Wave had a lot of credibility as a stable, and I think that was the biggest issue. Like, Vegas had a lot of credibility, Nick had credibility from what had happened, but I think just the group collectively didn't have a lot of credibility because we didn't really do much together other than just, get beat up. And it's, like I said, nobody's fault. It's a fun thing to look back on, honestly, and I don't mind it at all. I like it, but, oh, there you go. I just think that, and like I said, it ended up benefiting our careers, and I'll explain that in the next video. But that's it for the New Wave, and with that, I think not yet. Try Zuke's Deli, guys, honestly. Zuke's Deli, Zuke's Corner Store, Plattsburgh, New York. Once this whole pandemic's over, if you're ever in Plattsburgh, New York, right after you stop by Claire and Carl's, stop by Zuke's Deli and get a Zuke special. Delicious. And with that, my appetite's been defeated. And this was great. Great sandwich. I still got half of one, so I'm going to eat that later. But for now, looks like this is it. Stay tuned for episode 3 on Monday, next Monday, where I discuss the tag team of the Entity as well as my start to my singles career in PAC. For this chapter, I don't want anyone to think I'm complaining about the New Wave because I do think it was a really good idea, just flawed in execution a little bit. Things could have been done to save it, but like I said, I think it benefited people in the end. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for my 200 subscribers. Like, I'm really happy about that. 200 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. You're amazing for watching these videos of me eating and talking about wrestling, or watching videos of me cook or whatever. I'm really happy about it, and I really thank you guys for so much support. So thank you again. Like I said, another episode will be like next Monday. That'll be my singles career and my tag team with Nick Cruz, and then Caden's Kitchens on Thursday. I'm excited for that. Thank you once again for watching. Try Zuke's Deli. It's delicious. And with that, I'll see you guys later. Peace.